I was laughing at the bathroom, the girls' bathroom signs.
Yep.
We don't need to discuss those with the boys, I can cross them out. But
Oh, in the stall?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were funny.
So those of you guys online, this is the review. We're going through. My class picked some questions to go through, and then we're going through those. I did email you guys the whole worked out solution key. So those of you guys who are online.
Yep.
All right, let's go down to number 3 and 4. You guys asked about as well. This is asking us to solve equations. Ooh, 4 is a good one. A lot of you guys might have forgotten about how to do 4. So definitely, if you didn't get 4, like written the way out here, make sure you guys follow along for that one. But for 3 right now, we're solving equations now. So we need to get the x's alone, so I have to distribute first. So I distributed that 2 in. Now I'm going to combine like terms. So these get to go together, and so do those.
I see.
No, it's okay. We'll keep going though still. And then, so that's like a negative 1x on the left side. I'm going to move the 9x over because it's going to be a positive end. Just like to work with the positive numbers if I can. So negative 1 and 9 is 8x. I'm going to move that 10 over. This one's not going to be a very nice number, but that's perfectly fine because that happens. So I get a negative 7 over 8, or whatever that decimal is. That answer. Now again, 4, if you guys don't know how to solve for a particular variable, when I have more variables in the problem, this is definitely one you guys want to listen to. Being able to solve for a particular variable, you're going to need to be able to do a couple times on the test. And I know this is not everybody's favorite. So a problem like this, we're trying to get the y alone. So I have to undo what's happening to y. So I'm going to move this 6x away because that's add or subtract I want to get rid of first. So I'm going to subtract this 6x. So I get 3y equals, and I can write that as 3 minus 6x. I can write negative 6x plus 3 either way. So then to get my y alone, it's being multiplied by 3, so I'm going to divide by 3. But I have to divide this whole thing by 3. So I can divide each of those numbers by 3. So that's where I get the 1 minus 2x from. And I wrote it 2 different ways. Either way is fine with me. Both of them work in terms of meaning the same thing. Right? The next one you guys had questions on was number 6 that you guys told me about. So I'm going to flip to number 6. Or I need to flip mine. You don't, I guess. And I can see where you might have gone wrong with number 6. So make sure you guys kind of follow along with number 6. Now between 5 and 6, 6 is tougher. It has that special rule we have to remember with absolute value. You have to isolate the absolute value first. So that's the big things. When you guys see absolute value, you want to get the absolute value alone first. So isolate absolute value first. So that has to happen before you do anything else. Now in number 5, that's already happened. I don't have to isolate it. It's already isolated for me. But in number 6, if I don't do that, I'm going to get one of my answers wrong. And so you might have gotten half the answer right and not the other half. So I have to get this x minus 2 alone first before I do anything else. Now it's isolated. And now I can set up my 2 equations. So now I can write it 2 different ways. So I have my 2 versions of this problem. I'm going to solve each of them. So there's my answer of 8. I'm guessing had you not known how to do this at all, you would have still gotten 8. It's the pretty straightforward answer that we'd expect. This other one's the one you probably would have missed had you not done the 2 equations and had you not moved that over to begin with. And that's half the answer, so you don't want to miss half the answer. 50% is not a high grade, so we want to make sure we get both. Okay. Questions? Real quick, there was a question about the inequalities and why we didn't set up 2 equations for those. Why didn't we do the 2 different inequalities on these? What's different about these compared to what we just talked about up here? Okay, see, why did I set up 2 equations here and not here?
They don't have an equal sign.
Not the equal sign, the absolute value. The absolute value is what determines those 2 outcomes. So I didn't have to do the 2 equations because of there's no absolute value there. All right, so I'm flipping to the back side. It looks like 9, 10, and 11 are our next 3 questions. If you want to flip there, if you need help with those. If you decide you want me to come back and talk to you guys about any of the other ones, or if you just want to quietly raise your hand and say, I didn't understand this, but I was afraid to mention it, I can always help you one-on-one too, as well. One-on-one too sounded weird. Okay. So same thing with 1.7. We have to isolate the absolute value first. So just like we were just talking about, that absolute value has to get alone first. That y plus 4 has to be isolated before we can do anything else. So I'm going to move this 10 over. It ends up being 9. But then remember, with absolute value, there's different rules. I don't distribute here. I'm going to divide by 3. Now I'm ready to set up my 2 equations. So once the absolute value is isolated, I have to wait to that point to set up my 2 equations. Again, do not distribute with absolute value. It'll cause issues. So I have y plus 4 is less than 3. But then remember the absolute value, you have to flip that second one. Y plus 4 is greater than negative 3. So we have to change the sign and flip. So there's 2 pieces to this one. So y is less than 1. And y is also greater than 7. And so I'm going to put those on my number line so I can figure out, is this an and or an inequality? It asked me to graph them, I think. So -7, -1, I don't really care where they're at the number line as long as smaller and then larger. I don't care how many spaces are between them. They're both open circles. But it's less than -1, but greater than 7. So this is that and inequality. They go together. So this would be an and compound inequality. So we're still going to do 10 and 11. And I do have a review Kahoot if you want to, but if you guys are fine with keep on working, you're welcome to. We'll kind of talk about it. If you have a couple more questions we can go over.
And bring my laptop.
I'm up to you guys. We're getting to the point with Algebra 2 that a lot of you guys are probably going to be students that'll keep taking math, and so it kind of has to be your, your motivation as well. So making sure that you guys are wanting to learn more and wanting to understand. So kind of getting you guys to that more mature level student. If you're not there yet, it's okay. Good job. So this one, absolute value is already isolated. So we're ready to set up our 2 versions of this problem. remember, I have to flip that on the negative. So I have my two versions here, both a positive and negative, but I flip it on the negative one. So when I'm dividing by 2, instead I'm going to multiply by 2. And then I can add 3. There's one of my answers. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. It's just now there's a negative 8 on the other side. So I have to multiply and I'm going to end up with a negative 16 over there. So negative 13 is smaller than 19. I filled in circles this time. It's greater than 19 and less than negative 13. Go out. So this would be an OR inequality. And then finally, I'm going to do number 11. And again, if you have other questions on ones you just didn't feel comfortable speaking up about, I'd be glad to help you. If you're getting stuck on something in homework, I'd be glad to help. Again, or we can do some other practice. It's kind of up to you guys how we handle the rest of the time here. Okay, to flip the page here. So I'm on number 11. 11, for whatever reason, I really like doing these. As long as you stay organized, they're pretty reasonable. You're just trying to get the x alone in the center. So I'm subtracting 5 from all 3 parts. And then I just have to divide by 2, which is where my decimals come from. And you could have left them as fractions as well. So negative 4.5, positive 3.5. Those just come together. Bigger than negative 4.5, less than negative or positive 3.5, and then these come together. All right, questions there? Okay, so do you guys just want time to work and ask for help if needed? Does anyone want to review Kahoot? Are we okay?
We're okay.
All right. You guys decide if you run out of things to do. Otherwise, use this time, get homework done, or ask questions if you need it. If you guys are struggling on it, I'd be glad to help you and kind of walk around, or I'm not going to hover over you, but I'll definitely be around here. Oh, this is 18. So that easy addition error, and then 11 over 22. That's all. There you go. That's all you're doing wrong. You're doing pretty good. Let me know, you guys. I'm gonna kind of be up and down on my desk and back up by you guys, but let me know if you follow anything. I do have an answer key for the homework as well, if you guys need it. Those of you guys at home, shoot me an email. I sent you times that I can meet with you if you need it.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.